This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Well, Michael Rubin and Rick Ross don't seem to get along. I think they have a beef. I can't find one picture of Michael Rubin and Rick Ross. He's never at the white parties. He's never there. He stays clear from that little coalition. Jay-Z. I mean, you know, he hangs out with Jay-Z for music stuff. He hangs out with Robert Kraft for like Super Bowl parties and stuff like that. Michael Rubin, never. This is because Meek Mill, the blabbermouth, probably badmouthed Rick Ross. When Rick Ross gave Meek Mill a chance, you wouldn't even know about Meek Mill nationally, internationally, if it wasn't for Rick Ross. He was stuck in Philly with us. He had that voice. Now, I like Meek Mill, okay? But nobody wanted to sign Meek Mill before. T.I. expressed some interest because Meek Mill got his city buzzing. But nobody really wanted to sign him. Rick Ross took the chance, stamped him when Rick Ross was super hot because he got himself back hot with the BMF song, Blowing Money Fast. Meek Mill owes his career to Rick Ross. In fact, I'm going to tell you something that's funny. Okay, and Rick Ross did once try to tease Michael Rubin. I'm going to keep calling him Michael Rubin, by because the only Rubin I really knew before that was Rick Rubin, you know. But Michael Rubin announces he's selling his minority stake. Rick Ross was interested in buying that. He was also interested in buying a stake in the Dolphins too. But anyways, Rick Ross is throwing money around. That's a whole different story. Meek Mill needed to sell his house in Georgia. Meek Mill is going through a time where he has a lot of bills. He takes care of his mom, his grandma. He takes care of a lot of people, probably his siblings, his baby mom. He has a lot of responsibilities. So he has to cut back when your money's coming in fast. Meek Mill was making a lot of money quickly from 2012 up until I'd say about 2019. Then I think things started to dry up, and now it's starting to catch up after 3 years. He's like, you know what? I don't need these extra houses I'd never go to. He'd probably just pick them up. And he can't even get rid of them. And was definitely... Rick Ross pretty much made it known that he was close to foreclosure. Because Nori had asked him, hey, I heard you bought Meek Mill's house. He was like, hey, you know, homie needed to sell his house. I saw I put it on the gram. I scooped it up. And he says, and anyone else out there that's facing foreclosure, this doesn't have anything to do with that. But, hey... Just, you know, if you're facing foreclosure, reach out to me and I'll, you know, take that property off your hands. Wow. That means Rick Ross probably went to the bank. This is a smart move. So he probably knew, because who would post their crib on houses sell pretty quickly nowadays, right now, you know, still. They're slowing down a little bit more with the higher interest rates. But property is going for higher than ever right now. It's priced really high. There's not a lot in the market. I can't explain it. Nobody can. People say they can, but they can't. You know, car prices are super high. Things don't make sense ever since we had the shutdown. My house alone has increased like, you know, almost 50%. Both houses have 50% increases. That's great. That's a lot. I mean, I'm sorry, 100% increase. They've doubled, you know? That's a lot. But if I were to move, it doesn't mean I'm rich. It means if I were to move, I'd have to buy a house that has double too. You know, most of these houses have almost doubled. You're in the same market. So Meek Mill was probably like, okay, I'm going to foreclose. Rick Ross probably worked something out with the bank and scooped it up for cheap. But that means Meek Mill is having money problems. And this is silly because Rick Ross isn't a billionaire. He's moving like he's a billionaire, but he's not a billionaire. Okay? But he he's the one who bailed Meek Mill out, not his billionaire friends. Hangs out with Michael Rubin all the time. He's not as hungry anymore because he's always on jets and yachts and white parties and everything, and introducing Michael Rubin into the music life. Michael Rubin's now in the music land, you know, and he's loving it. He's loving it. You know, but the real person Meek Mill should be best friends with is Rick Ross. Because besides, I don't know what's up with Rick Ross spending $20 million on a plane, $35 million on a Star Island crib, $4 million on another crib in Miami. He just keeps buying property. Bought a $20 million watch. He's spending like he's a billionaire. I have no idea. There's no way. No way. I'm sorry. That a car show and all that isn't bringing in that much money. Okay, I'm sorry. Something else is up. I don't know if he's borrowing against his company. I'm not saying he's moving drugs or anything. I'm saying he's borrowing a lot of money because he has a lot of, he has wing stops and everything. And when something's bringing in money, an asset's making you money, you can borrow more against it. You can. That's how the loan system works. So say all of his wing stops, they've had them for a long time. Maybe they're making 4 times what they're worth, and they're originally, right? He can borrow a lot against that, Just like if you have a house and someone starts renting it, that's not a liability anymore. It's actually positive equity. It works out to be profit instead of a negative, So you can borrow more. It takes away from your overall expenses for the month, Because that's how the bank looks at it. What are your expenses? Can you afford this property? Well, once you cancel out the mortgage of the property, it's like it doesn't exist. You can buy more. So anyways, Meek Mill's going through our time. But Michael Rubin and Rick Ross definitely have beef. They don't like each other because they never are seen with each other. And Rick Ross is saving Meek Mill left and right his whole career. And Meek Mill had the nerve to call him out a couple of years ago saying, oh, yeah, I never got paid for this and this and this, because he was blaming Rick Ross and the parent company, which I think was Atlantic, right? Come on, man. Meek Mill's lost, man. And he needs to stop hanging out with these billionaires that obviously aren't helping him. They didn't bail him out of his house problem. They didn't step in. No. Rick Ross did. So, come on, man. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Peace.